This is the Beyond Barriers Unscripted podcast.
To be honest, I've pondered that question myself, and I don't know if I can grasp it.
Hello, and welcome to the show. My name is Randy Owen. In today's interview, I speak with Carrissa Ammons. Carrissa is a content creator on Instagram and TikTok, and in today's episode, she shares her experience working in social media and creating content as a person with low vision. Before we get to the interview, I want to take a minute and say thank you very much for listening. And by all means, please, if you like the episode, go ahead and share it with a friend. We can be heard on all major podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and of course, the Victor Stream. If you got any questions, comments, or suggestions for the show, feel free to contact me. My name is Randy Owen, and the email address is bb.unscripted@gmail.com. And now, my conversation with Carrissa. So, good afternoon. How's it going, Carrissa?
It's going good.
I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out to talk to me today. A little bit about how I found out about you, and I was talking with a coworker, Diane, one day, and she mentioned you, and she says, I have this student that does Instagram, and she does really, really well on it. And so she told me your name, and I think that weekend I went and looked, and whenever I go on the social media, the first thing I usually check is the numbers, how many views, how many likes, how many subscribers, that sort of stuff. And I remember looking at yours like, holy smokes, she wasn't kidding. Can you talk about your Instagram?
I think a lot of people recognize me more so as a TikToker because that's where I initially started. I do still post over there, even though it's kind of gotten a little more few and far between since things have picked up more on Instagram. But I'd say overall, I just do short form video content, and I would like to adapt and incorporate longer videos into the things that I make. But at the moment, I've still just been getting comfortable doing short videos.
Where do you draw your passion from?
I've genuinely always been interested in creating video content. I've always been really, really into YouTube. And then when TikTok took off, I was very hesitant to get on it for a while. I let all the stigma and all of the jokes get to me. And then when I finally did, I was like, oh no, this is my place. These are my people. And so the combination of those two things kind of were a perfect match. And I started getting comfortable making shorter videos. And to be frank, my TikTok actually took off very, very, very fast. And that's actually really common with TikTok. It's very easy to accumulate a large number of followers and engagement on there. You just have to have something interesting to show or talk about.
Was there a turning point for you? I mean, did you something happen and then all of a sudden, your views blow up?
Not necessarily. I did have a somewhat unique experience, social media wise, but TikTok wise, it's not so unique. It's not uncommon to post maybe your first one or two, maybe even 3 videos, and then one of them blow up if it's something that's poppy and catchy enough. So my first video I posted, I actually got 10,000 followers on TikTok.
What did you post?
It was quite literally me just playing with my hair.
Now, TikTok, as you explained to me before, those are like shorter videos. How does that work?
So TikTok, you can make any video between, I think, 5 to 60 seconds. I don't really play with the shorter end. Usually that's just something quick and funny, and I'm not very quick and funny. And quite literally, it's a grab bag of anything, to be honest. There are tons of communities on TikTok, ones that I've never seen before. I think the interesting thing about TikTok is the algorithm is very, very good about putting you in front of people who are like you in some type of way.
So do you find yourself like developing a personality? I mean, do you get followers that way and it's just like there's a TikTok personality?
I would definitely say that I do have a TikTok personality. I think my personality over on TikTok is a little bit more multifaceted than with Instagram. With Instagram, I do tend to be a little sweeter, a little more optimistic. But on TikTok, it's very conflicting because the general vibe on TikTok, it's like you can go from seeing an inspirational video and then a cat video and then see somebody absolutely busting their butt on the sidewalk. It's just like, it changes so quickly. So it's like kind of hard to have a consistent personality on there because of that.
What do you think the popularity of, this kind of short content that's random, it almost sounds random. What do you think that says in general regarding attention span?
I personally don't think that it says a lot about people's attention span because, granted, I do see the psychological issues with consuming a bunch of things, a bunch of varieties of things very quickly. But at the same time, looking at it from like a consumer standpoint too, because I do genuinely enjoy social media. Okay, I might spend an hour on TikTok one day and just get lost in it. It's very easy to do so, but at the same time, I can still sit through an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour video of somebody that I really enjoy.
Gotcha. What's your most popular video?
I haven't checked to see exactly which one is my most popular. If I had to assume, it's a toss-up between not all of them. The majority of my completely hair-focused videos do very well, so I'm assuming that it was this quick little promo for these hair ties that I like to use.
I think I know the video you're talking about. I was showing Trace, my wife, the other day.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so quick and so silly, and I think because of that, it just did very well.
So you have low vision?
Yes. It is a side effect of my albinism.
So how does albinism affect vision? Does it affect the retinas? How does that work?
So albinism affects your vision because it affects eye development in utero. And also the lack of pigment allows way too much light into our eyes. So that combination just makes it kind of hard to see, especially in brighter lights.
Got it. Okay. Because I was, so what are some of the challenges? Because you work in a really visual art. So what are some of the things? Do you find yourself, using magnification? Do you find yourself adjusting the brightness of the screen? How do you use your technology to create your content? Are you having to do any modifications, as a person with low vision or?
I definitely attribute a lot of my success in the technical aspects of making things to how far cell phones have come. I do the majority of my work on my iPhone, and for longer things that require a lot of editing, I'll typically do it on my iPad because I'm not quite as comfortable on the computer yet. And those devices alone just have amazing accessibility features.
Where do you think tech will be in 5 years?
To be honest, I've pondered that question myself, and I don't know if I can grasp it. I think that the advances we've made up until this point were somewhat predictable, but still simultaneously shocking. So I really don't have a lot of insight on that.
So from my understanding, this is just kind of a hobby of yours. You do have aspirations with college. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I'm in college right now. I'm working on my BA in psychology, and inevitably I hope to become a clinical psychologist.
Why?
I mean, to put it simply, I just love helping people, but in the way of helping them grow and achieve the best versions of themselves. I personally put a lot of time and effort into my own personal growth. And to be honest, the things that I endured just as a collective from childhood to in adolescence, I am surprised I am where I am, but it's not from a lack of work necessarily. But I've seen what working on yourself and having a support system can do for people through my own personal experience. And I just think it would be so beautiful to do that for the rest of my life.
So, mentorship, what does that word mean to you?
I thought of a person when you said it, to be honest. I do have a person in my life that I do consider a mentor, a mother figure. And if anything, I take it as like leading by example, but also having a soft hand for guidance.
A soft hand for guidance. Would you care to elaborate on that a little bit?
Just in the sense of a guiding hand, like people are going to do what they're going to do regardless. So oftentimes, more often than not, trying to force somebody to do something isn't going to actually help them grow, but maybe pointing them in the right direction will.
Okay. And like you said, lead by example. So can you talk about where you're from and how you got to where you're at now?
So I am from Georgia. I am absolutely in love with Georgia. And the only reason I don't live there now is because my husband is in the military. So we lived in North Carolina for a little bit, and then we moved on over to here.
So you come here from the East Coast. And this is one of the things you and I kind of have in common is being a military dependent, and that whole thing where you kind of get in and you make your friends and your neighbors, and then the sponsors got new orders and you got to relocate. Have you been through that much?
Only once. Leaving Georgia initially wasn't that difficult because I was just hopped up on getting married and establishing my life with my husband. So that adrenaline rush kind of carried me through it. But to be honest, going from North Carolina to California was pretty difficult for me. I am a very sentimental person. I get very attached to people and very attached to my environments. So full transparency, I actually went through a pretty intense depressive episode when I moved. I mean, therapy and other things have helped a lot. And I'm learning to see the beauty in the situation and in the city I live in. And I have a very good friend, and I'm making connections with the Society for the Blind. So we're doing better.
So as one of the things in my life is that, I lived with low vision my whole life, and I was the only person I knew. I never knew anybody else with visual impairment. Is this your first experience, being involved with other folks blind and low vision, or did you do some training or involved with that before?
So the first time that I remember genuinely interacting with other people with visual impairments was in North Carolina for a week. I went to the School for the Blind in Raleigh for some evaluations, and it was a in-house thing. So I did stay on campus there with them.
Right.
And to be honest, it was interesting. It was interesting for me because I had never really been around people like myself. There was some interesting anxieties that I had. But it was relieving to just observe people and see people struggling with the same things that I was. But it wasn't really until I moved to Sacramento and started interacting with people at the Society for the Blind where I truly started to get to know other people with visual impairments. I think for me, from a student's perspective, it's just been so inspiring being around all of these more well-established adults who just seem so confident and comfortable with themselves and successful. It's genuinely so empowering.
Talk about confidence, if you don't mind, please.
To be honest, I have developed my confidence over time, but I don't think I'm still not 100% there. But the word confidence to me is just truly being comfortable with who you are and what's going on. It's not being cocky. It doesn't even have to be being 100% sure of yourself, but just having a cool, calm, collected head and being able to take on life in that way.
How do you feel that, for lack of a better word, failure and experience with failure plays into that?
I think there needs to be a balance, because I feel like experiencing too much failure can definitely impact your confidence in a negative way. You can start to develop these perceptions that, all these negative perceptions about yourself, about how things go and like how life is. But I do think that success after failure can really help to build your confidence, because then you have a solid example of, look, like everything doesn't work out, but eventually you can be successful in what you're attempting to do.
Awesome. So perseverance is important.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. If you don't mind, can we play a little word association game? Okay.
Sure. I feel like I'm in like an old school therapy session.
Well, first word is barrier.
Barrier. I'd say quite literally a barrier is anything that prevents somebody from doing or accessing something.
Community.
A collective of people doing their part to make something work.
Social media.
That one's interesting. I've actually never thought about it that hard. Social media. I think of the internet, of course. I do think that it's a lot. I don't know if I can articulate that very well.
Okay. What about the word reinvention?
Reinvention. I don't know if I like that word, to be honest. I do think that I've reinvented myself over time, but not in the sense of I've changed, but just I've had more opportunities and time to truly realize what I like.
Okay. And the last one is 2 words, kind of a phrase. Taking control.
Taking control. The first thing that comes to mind with that is a person putting themselves in a position to do their best with their abilities.
Cool. All right. We're getting close to time. So there's a couple of things I want to ask you. What part of the world would you like to visit?
So thankfully, but also fingers crossed, this should be his last enlistment. But
okay.
Hypothetically speaking, if something were to happen, I'm a big softie. I want to go to Georgia. But if I had to give you a more exciting answer, I would love to live in Germany for a little bit.
What would you like to see in Germany?
To be honest, I took a German in high school.
Okay.
And I just kind of fell in love with the culture through that. So it's not even as much as like seeing something as it is just embracing the culture for a little bit. I think that would be really cool.
What is it about the culture that attracts you?
I love how, I don't know how to describe it. I'm not going to articulate. I'm so drawn by my emotions and feelings, but if I had to put it into words, I love how free it seems there, in the sense of, there's just like a focus on being outdoors, a focus on, I feel like there's a focus on community.
Okay. Where do you see yourself a year from now?
Right here. But in regards to goals and things, I'm hoping in a year I will have firmly established my YouTube channel. I actually sat down and wrote out a posting schedule for TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube earlier today.
Go ahead and tell us where we can find you on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
So my TikTok and Instagram are both Invisible Melanin, and my YouTube account, I believe, is Carrissa Victoria. I didn't think I wanted to brand that one with the Invisible Melanin name.
Okay, understood. Any other social media? Any other way to contact you or to follow you?
That's pretty much it. And if someone needs to contact me, typically Instagram is the best bet. My DMs, I check them. I might not reply to all of them, but I do check them. And there's an email address on there as well.
Who do you follow, or if you had to pick like 2 or 3 other Instagram accounts or folks on TikTok? Who?
So, for all the low vision folks, if you don't already know, Molly Burke, she's a gem. She's so cute. She's on like all the social medias, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. If I had to think of somebody else, just some people I genuinely enjoy. Zap cosplays. She has albinism. She's visually impaired, and she does the coolest cosplay. She is seriously so underrated. I will send you a link to her because I'm not 100% sure if that is her at name.
Okay.
And last but not least, I guess we'll round it off with another PWA, person with albinism, Robin X. He's a musician.
Okay.
He is on TikTok and Instagram. I believe both of those are the Robin X, but you can probably just Google him.
Cool. Do you listen to podcasts at all?
I do listen to podcasts.
What do you got for us?
So my podcast tastes are all over the place, but I'll start with the more mature one. Not really. ASAP Science. I love that podcast because it's such, they talk about scientific topics, but in such an easily digestible and relatable way. So even though they're reading like full-blown academic journals to get their information, they translate in a way that's just like very easy to understand in layman's terms.
Is there anything that you want to say or the listeners to know about you that we haven't talked about?
Nothing in particular. I actually get a little nervous. I think I have a little bit of imposter syndrome going on when it comes to social media and talking with people about it. And I'm really trying to work on that right now. But I honestly like being honest with the fact that I'm working on stuff. I think it's authentic, and I want to show people that I don't have it all figured out just because I have a few numbers on some social media accounts.